Look out, Big Pharma indeed. Dr. Glidden's in the house. Today is Product Update Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, Product Update Wednesday, and I gave a little tease at the end of yesterday's program. It's a naturally occurring substance. It reduces the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. You heard me correct. Prostate cancer, 69%. Colon cancer, 64%. And lung cancer, 39%. As reported in the Journal of the American Medical Association in December of 1998, research published by Larry Clark. You know what it is? Is it some chemotherapeutic agent? Is it some designer gene therapy drug that, just rolled off the assembly line at Pfizer Pharmaceutical? What is it? Vitamin C? No. Vitamin D? No. The answer, the mineral selenium. Selenium. Selenium is the only nutritional supplement that I recommend everybody takes across the board as a standalone supplement. We talk about something in the field of MD-directed medicine called fractionated nutrition. And because MDs are so colorblind about the way that they've been trained to look at the human body and its relationship to health and illness, because they're reductionists to the core, when MDs with open minds, and there are a few, get frustrated with conventional medical treatment and they start to turn their sights towards vitamins and minerals and more quote-unquote holistic treatments, well, they completely leave out the holistic part of the equation and they just focus on the single nutrient. So they start to use vitamin C or vitamin D the same way that they use antibiotics. So they'll give tons of it. They'll give massive doses of it, right? Massive doses in intravenous drips. Or they'll give a lot of tyrosine, which is an amino acid. Or they'll give a lot of calcium, right? They'll do something in a reductionistic manner. They're not using drugs. They're using herbs and vitamins and minerals, and they're thinking that they're holistic, and it's nonsense. When you give the body a lot of one of the essential 90 nutrients, you're going to upset the apple cart. And this completely misses the whole idea here that the body is a holistic organism which every part needs to be attended to. Now, having said that, what I recommend for everybody across the board is one healthy start pack, the 90 essential nutrients, right? The 90 essential nutrients, and there are a lot of different ways we can get the 90 essential nutrients by mixing and matching longevity products together. A lot of different product combinations you can put together depending on your budget and really what's going on for you in order to secure the 90 essential nutrients. And that is a fantastic, holistic, boilerplate place to start. And the only exception that I make to this fractionated nutritional nonsense is selenium. Everybody should be taking selenium, at least 200 micrograms of selenium a day in the preferred form of selenomethionine. Let me give you a little bit of the history of selenium, and you're going to wonder why this is the first time you've heard this. I mean, for goodness sake, it reduces the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%, and you haven't heard that? And this was published in 1998 in the Journal of the American Medical Association. So how many women with a history of breast cancer in their family or with breast cancer got that phone call from their doctor? Mary, it's your doctor. You're not going to believe it. I just read in the Journal of the American Medical Association that selenium supplementation can reduce the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. I know there's breast cancer in your family. I want you to go to the health food store tonight. I want you to throw a brick through the window. I want you to run in and get yourself some selenium, and I'll take care of the police. No problem. Yeah, we'll sort it all out. That's how important it is. I want you to go get it now. How many women got that phone call? 0. I've given a lecture on this subject over 100 times in the last 2 years. And every time I ask how many women in the audience, I'm lecturing to 50, 60, 80, 100, 200, 300 people. I ask how many women got that phone call from their doctor. Not a hand goes up. This is a problem, right? This is a gigantic problem. Can you imagine what would happen if a drug company came up with a drug that reduced the incidence of breast cancer by 10%? It'd be front page headline news. Front page headline news. But selenium reduces at 82%, prostate cancer 69%, colon 64%, and lung 39%, and nobody knows anything. Oh, that's selenium. As a matter of fact, many MDs will tell you that incorrectly that selenium is toxic and shouldn't be taken into your body, even though the importance of selenium in the human diet was discovered in 1979. Chinese scientists showed that children living in selenium-deficient areas were suffering from a heart disease known as Caisson disease. Their hearts got bigger. It was called a cardiomyopathy illness, and it was completely reversed by selenium, thanks to my colleague and mentor, Dr. Wallach. And selenium deficiencies in athletes also gives rise to cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy, heart attacks. You know, when you see all of these athletes on the field, on the basketball court, on the ice rink, and they're dying of heart attacks while they're playing their sporting activity from enlarged heart, cardiomyopathies, and everybody thinks, oh, ho-hum, oh, it's so sad, oh, he must have had a bad gene, oh, she must have had a bad gene, oh, it's got to be in the family, oh, it's got to be a voodoo curse, oh, we don't know what causes it. Well, guess what? They knew about this before World War II in Germany. It was called athlete's heart. And it was known to be caused by not enough selenium. So when you exercise without nutrition, it's suicide. That's why we say exercise without nutrition is suicide, because you're putting all this stress on the human body. And in order to handle that stress, your body needs nutrients. I mean, in this case, selenium. If you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, and you do not have sufficient amounts of selenium in your body when you're running on that treadmill, you're stressing your heart out, and your heart cannot respond to the stress, so it becomes enlarged, and then it pops. And then your pin-headed, knuckle-headed, colorblind MDs tell your family it must have been genetic. It's unbelievable, right? I can't say enough about selenium. It's a potent immune stimulator. Cancer patients with low selenium levels tend to have a wider spread of the disease, more occurrence of the disease, and die sooner. Selenium increases something called non-adaptive and adaptive immune systems in the human body. It's involved in key metabolic activities throughout the body. Selenium deficiencies have been shown to allow invading viruses to mutate and cause longer-lasting, more severe illnesses. It's also been shown to be effective with AIDS patients. AIDS patients who took selenium were able to suppress the deadly virus in their bodies and boost the fragile immune system, adding to the evidence that selenium has healing powers we need to pay attention to in treating cancer patients. We have had people who are HIV positive for decades. It's never gone into full-blown AIDS because they're taking boatloads of selenium every day. It's also an unbelievable antioxidant. Selenium prevents the action of free radicals, which are causative agents behind degenerative disease. One of the reasons that cancer develops is because the DNA inside the cell that's affected by cancer becomes destroyed by oxidative damage. Not destroyed, it becomes damaged by oxidation. Oxidative damage to the DNA, so that particular cell cannot stop making copies of itself. So it copies and copies and copies, and you get a tumor. Russia, Romanian-born physician, scientist, author, and humanitarian Emanuel Ravici has used selenium for over 30 years in Europe in the treatment of cancer, and he's having remarkable results. And in the United States, Dr. Gerhard Schrauzer, professor emeritus of biochemistry at the University of California at La Jolla, publicly credited Ravici for having discovered pharmacologically active selenium compounds. Dr. Schrauzer, by the way, is the head of a committee which delivers an award every year. It's called the Klaus Schwartz Commemorative Model, and it's given to members of the scientific community who do research in the field of minerals, right? Minerals as they're related to human health. It's a very prestigious award, MD and MD PhDs and triple degrees. People have gotten this, very famous scientists all around the world, and last year our own Dr. Wallach was given the Klaus Schwartz Commemorative Medal for his work with selenium as it happened in the genesis of cystic fibrosis. Dr. Wallach, back in the 70s, was doing a $25 million research project, a $25 million 12-year research project, looking for the net negative effects of pollution on the human species and on animal models all around the country. It was a big deal. And he was working at Emory University at the Yerkes Primate Research Center, and when he was there, Wallach discovered that the cystic fibrosis could cross species lines. It was a remarkable breakthrough. Could cross species lines. Could happen in monkeys. Before Wallach's research, they thought cystic fibrosis was humans only. And furthermore, Dr. Wallach proved that cystic fibrosis was caused by not enough selenium in the blood of a pregnant mother. So if the baby is developing in a selenium-deficient environment, there's damage to the genetic material which causes cystic fibrosis. And for this remarkable gift to humanity, for discovering the cause and the cure for cystic fibrosis and the first case of cystic fibrosis crossing species lines, Yerkes Primate Research Center fired Dr. Wallach. And the National Institute of Health called major teaching hospitals all around the country and said, if you hire Wallach, we're going to pull your funding. Why? Because medicine in the United States is a for-profit engine, and when you cure something, all the research money dries up, number one. And number two, selenium being a naturally occurring substance, you can't patent it. Anybody can make it, so there's no money in it. If anybody can make it, your profit margins go remarkably downhill, so they didn't want to come out with that information, and because of that, approximately 300,000 children have been born, 30,000. No, 300,000 children have been born in the United States needlessly with cystic fibrosis. Stop giving the MDs your money. Get some selenium, for goodness sake. It's $24 a bottle. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your lucky day. You've tuned in to Fire Your MD Now. I'm your host, Dr. Peter Glidden. We're going to go right to the phone. Susan is calling from California. Susan, you are on live.
Oh, hi, Dr. Glidden. I have a 16-year-old son, and he's been having chest pains for about 3 years now, and he's not athletic. He's now 120 pounds. He's 5 feet 6 inches tall. And we've taken him to the doctor, and they've given him an EKG, which is a snapshot and doesn't really show anything. And I've tried to throw everything at him that I can think of, and I've gotten omega-3 oils, a good multivitamin, which I thought was a good multivitamin, not just Centrum, but it was I paid enough money to get a good multivitamin for him with plenty of B vitamins in it, and vitamin K too, and he's still having chest pains, and they just occur any time, and they're like a pinch, sometimes in the middle of his chest, and then sometimes to the right, to the left side. And so I don't know what to do. My father had sextuple bypass surgery, and I don't want to see my son going down that road. So I don't know what to do for him, and so that's why I'm calling.
Okay, good. Can you sell him to the gypsies? Is that an option?
No. Oh, geez.
Okay, good. So look, here's what we're going to do.
Okay. I've given him selenium. Okay.
All right. Now look. Okay, good. So good girl, smartest girl in class. But here's the deal. Whenever we get, and this is the fundamental basis of the holistic medical model, which everybody overlooks, and there's only a handful of us licensed physicians in the country that have any clinical experience with this and that even have access to this knowledge base, okay? So when we're up against a peculiar set of symptoms like this, there's a chronic symptom that's undiagnosed. Well, thank God there's nothing wrong with the EKG. And did they do any other diagnostic thing to him? Did they do an MRI or a CT?
Gosh, I can't remember. My husband took him in, and I don't really recall what all they did.
Let's hope they never gave him a CT scan. And ladies and gentlemen, refuse a CT scan if they recommend it, because it gives you about 250 times the amount of radiation that one chest X-ray does. Do not get a CT scan. The only reason they recommend it is to pad the bill. Refuse the CT scan, all right? The only time to have a CT scan is never, because they can figure out what they need to figure out with a high-density ultrasound or an MRI, but I digress. So from the holistic model here, when we're dealing with strong and persistent symptoms, but no diagnosis, what do? Well, we fall back on the fundamental belief that the human body has the ability to fix itself. Now, last year, we took $70 billion worth of vitamins and nutritional supplements. 70 billion with a B, and everybody's still sick. And you're a perfect example. You know, you do your homework, you go to the health food store, you don't buy the stuff on the bottom shelf, you know, you buy the good stuff, or what you think is the good stuff. But the fact of the matter is that because the body is a holistic mechanism, it needs 90 essential nutrients, 90. If you don't give it all 90 essential nutrients appropriate for body weight in recipes that the human body can absorb easily into the tissue, then it's not going to work. You know, if I had a sinus infection and one of my buddies told me, hey, doc, you know, you've got a sinus infection and there I'm going to do a culture and sensitivity and you need to take this antibiotic 30 milligrams 3 times a day. Well, if I only took 10 milligrams of that antibiotic once a day, it wouldn't work. Does that mean antibiotics don't work? No, it just means I didn't take enough. Well, it's the same with vitamins. But not only is it not taking enough, you know, of the vitamin B like baby or enough of the selenium, it's that there are 90 essential nutrients that we need in total. Now, so the first thing to do is just a boilerplate medical nutrition program that gives your son all 90 essential nutrients, and you want to do that for 90 days, all right? So the best way to do that is with something called the Healthy Start Pack. So I would recommend, how much does he weigh?
About 120 pounds.
All right, so we're going to give him the 100-pound dose. I would recommend 1 Healthy Start Pack, 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals, or, you know, he's a teenager. You can get him the plant-derived minerals in the cherry flavor. It's called Cherry Mints. So 1 Healthy Start Pack, 1 bottle of Cherry Mints, 1 bottle of the Longevity Ultimate Selenium, because our selenium, or not our, the Longevity Company's selenium is in the form of selenomethionine, and it's balanced with exactly the correct amount of copper. Because if you just take selenium, your body's going to waste copper, and if you just take copper, your body's going to waste selenium. It's a back-and-forth relationship. So 1 Healthy Start Pack, 1 bottle of Cherry Mints, and 1 bottle of selenium. Have him take those doses every day, and also put him on the gluten-free diet that you can download for free at fireyourmdnow.com. Do that for 90 days, and call me back at around week 8 with a report. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, bringing 20-plus years of clinical experience with licensed naturopathic holistic medical therapeutics to bear on what we talk about here on this radio station. I just want to clarify one thing about Susan and her son having chest pains, because this is an important point to ponder, right? We need the appropriate therapy for the appropriate condition. And let's say that I had a condition that was caused by not enough calcium in my body. I have a calcium deficiency. Let's say it's high blood pressure, because that's one of the main causes of high blood pressure is not enough calcium and magnesium. So I go to the health food store and I peruse all of the calcium supplements that are there. You know, there's one for $10 a bottle, there's one for $110 a bottle, and there's 30 in between. The clerk doesn't know much about the differences other than that they cost more, and of course the clerk wants you to buy the more expensive one. So most people get the one that's in the middle, and let's say you pull it off the shelf, it says 500 milligrams of calcium carbonate per cap. Well, you know that the RDA is 1,200, so you figure if you take 3 at 500, you're going to get more than you need and life is good. Well, that's a reasonable thing to assume, but that's not how it is. Because in 1 capsule of calcium carbonate at 500 milligrams, there's about 200 milligrams of calcium and 300 milligrams of carbonate. And it's your stomach's job to slash that molecule in two, to break that molecule apart, liberating the calcium. Well, so you don't have 500, right? Now you have 200 milligrams of calcium. Well, no. Because calcium from carbonate, if you're lucky, is about 15% absorbable, which means that in 1 500 milligram cap of calcium carbonate, you're lucky if you pull about 30 milligrams of usable calcium out of it, which means in order to meet the RDA of 1,200 milligrams, you need 40 a day. There's only 60 in the bottle, right? So what do you need, a bottle a day? That's nonsense. No, you couldn't even swallow that many, for goodness sake. And that's why everybody's still sick, even though we took $70 billion worth of vitamins. When it comes to vitamins, it's quality and quantity. You have to take enough of the right stuff in a comprehensive, holistic method, right? And you have to be absorbing what you're taking. So this is why what we recommend for everybody across the board is the gluten-free diet. Because being gluten-free dramatically increases your body's ability to absorb nutrients. And if you want to see how that works, visit fireyourmdnow.com, and right there on the front page there's a video you can watch for free. It's called Against the Grain. It's right there on the front page at fireyourmdnow.com. It's called Against the Grain, and it explains why wheat, barley, rye, and oats destroy the intestinal tract and how they destroy the intestinal tract and the net negative effects that they produce and why everybody should stop eating them. So we stop eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats and 6 other foods that have net negative effects on the health of the body, and we secure the 90 essential nutrients in absorbable recipes. And with peculiar things like this with Susan's son, you know, who the heck knows what it is? Could be this, could be that. Could be about 5 or 6 things spring directly to my mind. But rather than get all nervous and worried about it, we know that it's nothing really dangerous, or at least if the doctors that she went to were halfway decent and they did the appropriate diagnostic stuff, they would have ruled out the dangerous stuff. For goodness sake, it's been 3 years. So we just clean the diet up and give the body everything that it needs, get the heck out of the way, and see what happens. And most of the time, that's all that's necessary. That's it. It's that simple. Because remember, healing is easy. Surgery is complicated, but healing is easy. Now, if you want help finding these products at the wholesale price, if you want help navigating the Longevity website, if you want help trying to figure out how you can get this stuff for yourself, just give my folks a call. We're waiting to talk to you right now and facilitate the ordering process. That toll-free number is 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. And if you get a voicemail, it's because our lines are jammed. Just leave us a message with your name and your phone number, and somebody on my team will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, that's 855-347-3696. Now we're going to go right to Sue from California with osteoporosis and hypothyroidism. Hello, Sue. You are talking to me live.
Hi, great to talk to you. I'm taking levothyroxide for my thyroid, and I want to stop taking the medication. I want to know how to stop it, how to step down. My osteoporosis, I just listened to the calcium. I am taking one with carbonate in it. My problem is that I have a sulfur allergy, so I can't take the tangy tangerine because it has MSM.
Well, you don't have a sulfur allergy. That's impossible. You have a sulfite allergy, which is different.
Okay.
That's a very, it's an easy thing to be misled about. The sulfur is an essential nutrient.
Okay.
Kind of like water, right? It's impossible to have an allergy for water. You cannot have an allergy to sulfur.
Okay.
Or calcium or any of the other minerals. You can have an allergy to sulfites, which is very different. So there's no problem at all taking the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. However, so you have hypothyroid, I'm assuming, because you're on levothyroxine, right?
Yes,
All right. How many years have you had that condition?
Oh, my gosh, probably 8 or 9 years.
Okay. And was it a definitive diagnosis or was it just a presumptive diagnosis?
Well, actually what had happened is I had a seizure and I'd fallen down, and when I finally got back to my doctor, he told me that my thyroid was completely not functioning and that I would have to go on some thyroid medication.
Yeah, whatever that means. Usually the test that they test for that is the TSH. It's called a TSH test, and the TSH test is really outdated. It's archaic, and it's completely unreliable.
Okay.
Because the TSH numbers vary from hour to hour throughout the day, and you can have a wide range of TSA tests reporting just over a 24-hour cycle, but MDs never do that. The only time that the TSH is really have any clinical use at all is when it's really, 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 really high, When it's really, 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 really high, then we start to look at that, and then we're going to run some other tests, right? So the best way, in my clinical understanding, to assess your thyroid function is with a lab test called Free, like Free Willy, Free T3 and Free T4, Free T3 and Free T4. So I would have those tests done. Now, when you started the levothyroxine, did you notice any difference in how it made you feel?
Yeah, jittery, couldn't sleep real well, and then slowly my body, I guess, just kind of got used to it. I don't know. I just want to completely get off of it altogether. Okay. And with my doctor, I can't talk to him about supplements. With my osteoporosis, they wanted to put me on medicine. I said, no, I'm not going to go on any osteoporosis medicine. They now want to test...
Smartest girl in class for that, because I'll tell you how the osteoporosis medicine work. They're called bisphosphonates. I have a whole webinar that I did about this, by the way. It's really great, and you can check it out at Fire Your MD now. If you purchase a month subscription, it's just for $5, right? It's a 1-hour video, and I talk all about it. But to make a long story short, the drugs, the Boniva and the Fosamax that doctors routinely prescribe for osteoporosis are in a family of meds called bisphosphonates. And bisphosphonates work by putting the cells in your body that chew up old bone to sleep. Because your body is constantly in the process of chewing up old bone and laying down new bone. It's happening all the time. Your body's turning over bone tissue all the time. Now, when somebody has osteoporosis, right, they don't have enough bone tissue, and so a reasonable person would assume, well, holy smokes, all we need to do is feed the body the nutrients that the bones need to stay healthy, right? That's a reasonable thing to assume, and that's correct. But the MDs don't do that because the MDs are stupid and they're not trained in medical nutrition at all, and I'm choosing my words carefully. So what do? They develop a synthetic drug that's never existed before in nature, and instead of supporting and promoting the body's ability to manufacture new bone, the drug that they give, Fosamax and Boniva, puts the cells in your body that are chewing up the old bone to sleep. So guess what? Old bone accumulates in your bone, which makes the bone density better, makes the bone density test look better, but now your bones are filled with old bone. Now, why was the body trying to chew up the old bone in the first place? Because old bone is brittle. Old bone is not healthy. So after 4, 5, 6 years on Fosamax or Boniva, your skeleton is jam-packed with old, brittle bone. So you step off of the curb and your leg snaps in two. And this is the latest round of class action lawsuits against the manufacturers of Fosamax and Boniva, because women all around this country, their bones are snapping now like dry tinder because people have been on Boniva and Fosamax for more than 6 years. And by the way, you notice that Sally Field has gone away, right? No more Sally Field ads for Fosamax or Boniva, whatever it was, because there are all these class action lawsuits against it. It is MD insanity. All right, so what we need to do instead, no secret here, no magic here, is just provide your body with the raw materials that it needs to make strong and healthy bones. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. But about the thyroid condition, now because I cannot prescribe, I'm not licensed in the state of California as a naturopathic physician. You live in California. Because I can't prescribe levothyroxine in California, I can't tell you how to step down from it. But if you were one of my patients in a state that I am licensed to practice naturopathic medicine in, I would advise you to go and talk to a pharmacist. Tell the pharmacist what dose of levothyroxine you've been taking and how long you've been taking it, and get advice from them as to how to step down from it. Now, the thing about stepping down from any drug is once you start stepping down from a drug, you need to stay on that train to the bitter end. You might have some withdrawal symptoms. You might not feel good for a couple of days, but, it's usually a 21-day program or a 28-day program. You need to maintain the discipline while you're weaning off of whatever prescription agent you're weaning off of, and then wait for 4 weeks after the fact to see how you feel, to really judge how you're doing in a drug-free state, okay? Now, what I'm going to recommend here is a comprehensive program for Sue who's been dealing with a presumptive low thyroid and, low bone density situation for a number of years. So here it is. Sue, how much do you weigh, by the way?
About 125, 130.
Okay, so here's what I would do every month. I would do 1 Ultra Body Toddy with Cell Shield per month, 2 bottles of Cal Toddy a month, 2 bottles of Cal Toddy a month, and I would do 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium a month, 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, because selenium is the 1-2 punch here, because selenium is necessary for proper thyroid function, and it's also necessary for bone remineralization. So it's a kind of a 2-for-1. And last but not least, or 2 more things, I would do 1 bottle of EFAs at the 180 count, 1 bottle of EFAs at the 180 count, and 2 bottles of glucogel at the 240 count. That's 480 glucogel a day, 480, so that's going to be 16 a day. I want you to take 5 with breakfast, 5 with lunch, and 6 with dinner. Plus, everybody has to clean up their diet. Good food, bad food. Eliminate all the bad foods. You can find that document at drglidden.com or fireyourmdnow.com. Take those supplements, clean your diet up, talk to the pharmacist about weaning off of the levothyroxine. Call me in 8 weeks with an update. It's West Coast Wednesday, apparently, ladies and gentlemen. It's California all the time this afternoon. Megan's calling with a blood sugar question. Megan, you're live on Fire Your MD Now.
All right. Hi. Great to talk to you. My question is one about the tangy tangerine, and it contains maltodextrin. I read that could affect blood sugar possibly in a negative way. And is there any other safe sugars such as sucralose I was told I could take, or xylitol, or anything else on that line?
Yeah, the only reason that disclaimer is there is to keep the lawyers happy. I mean, you'd really need to take a boatload of that. You'd need to take like a quarter of that container all at once in order to have that impact your blood sugar. So that's just a legal thing that the company did in order to, cover its butt. I've had hundreds of type 2 diabetics and type 1 diabetics on that problem. No harm, no foul at all. So there's no worries about it at all. And most of Youngevity's liquid supplements, if not all, I haven't looked at this, but I'm presuming that the majority of them are diabetic friendly. And if they need to be sweetened, they're sweetened with xylitol, stevia, or sucralose, depending on which product. The older products are sweetened with sucralose. The newer products are sweetened with stevia or xylitol. So there's no harm and no foul with the Beyond Tangy Tangerine in that regard. Does that make sense? Where'd you go, Megan? Did she go away? She probably hung up. Megan, are you still there? All right, so there's no problem with that. However, with blood sugar, if somebody's having a blood sugar issue, the problem is not with sugar. Sugar is not the cause of type 1 diabetes nor the cause of type 2 diabetes. They can inadvertently be pushing your body towards those illnesses, but they're pushing your body towards those illnesses because the more sugar you eat, the more acidic your blood becomes. When your blood becomes acidic, its buffering systems are kicked into gear. The body has 6 buffering systems that it uses to maintain very tight control over the pH of your blood. That's how acidic or how alkaline it is. Your body likes to have blood that's a little bit more alkaline than neutral, just a little bit more alkaline than neutral. So if you're eating a boatload of sugar or a boatload of protein, right, which happened to the Inuit Eskimos up in Alaska, your blood becomes acidic all the time, and the buffering systems are activated all of the time, and 3 or 4 of the buffering systems use minerals. So when the buffering systems are activated, they pull minerals out of your bones and out of your mineral stores and dump them into the blood to neutralize the acid. Mineral deficiencies cause type 2 diabetes, not sugar. It's got nothing to do with sugar. It can inadvertently be. But the only reason anybody gets type 2 diabetes is because their body has run out of the raw materials that it needs to maintain and regulate its blood sugar. It's that simple. So if anybody is dealing with Syndrome X or metabolic syndrome, which are synonymous for something called pre-type 2 diabetes, or even frank type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, and they're insulin dependent, when you take a healthy blood sugar pack, you're giving your body, probably for the first time in your life, which is a remarkable thing to say or even consider or think about, the first time in your life when you take that combination of supplements, your body has been completely nutrified. And for the first time in your life, it has everything that it needs to regulate its blood sugars. Now, you're never going to be able to recover from type 1 diabetes because the pancreas cells that make insulin have been destroyed. They are no longer there. And thank God for insulin, because it allows type 1 diabetics to have a long, healthy life. But type 1 diabetic will also become minerally deficient and develop type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance. So when you give even a type 1 diabetic the healthy blood sugar pack, they're able to remarkably reduce their intake of insulin. And we talked to a young man at Loyola University next week. His name is David. He called in and he told us he was able to reduce his insulin. He's type 1 diabetic. He was able to reduce his insulin intake with just one bottle of the Longevity Sweeties by 70%. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're struggling with a blood sugar issue, just pick up one healthy blood sugar pack and one bottle of liquid plant minerals per 100 pounds of body weight. Take that per month. Clean your diet up. You're going to love how you feel, because remember, it ain't what you don't know that'll hurt you. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Tomorrow, it's Celebrity Thursday, and you're going to love who I have with us tomorrow. The president of the Longevity Company, Mr. William Andreoli. He's going to blow your minds. Be sure to tune in. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. See you then.